Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. I would like to welcome you all to today's Germany event on unlocking potential psychological safety for high performance teams. On behalf of Agile People Ops, me, Mariana, your host, would like to thank you all for taking out your precious time and joining us today. I would now like to introduce our Germany country ambassador, Boglarka Zerenvari. She's a certified Agile People Ops framework coach. Her motto is lead the change, live the change, love the change. She believes in the core strength of people that they can make positive impact for a better and balanced future. Her mission is to partner organizations and people in transformations with coaching and empathetical, purpose-oriented communication. Her international and professional experiences in business, IT, agile HR mindset, coaching, and community building drive her to bring people together and thrive for individual and common goals. I would now like to call upon Boglarka to say a few words. Over to you. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Mariana, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, or maybe good morning, good evening to everyone. This event is again very international, and it is my pleasure to introduce Claudia Voigt to you. Claudia is our today's speaker, and she is in Germany. She is very passionate about organizational and work psychology, and especially about psychological safety topics. She supports corporate teams and individuals like leaders and senior professionals in their growing journey through regrow coaching. Her experience as an HR specialist in an international environment helps her to support the people and the organizations. I'm really excited for the today event. And Claudia, help us understand what psychological safety means and how can we create psychological safe environments?
So hello, everyone. I'm really happy you joined. I'm just starting my presentation now for the beginning. Let me check. So I hope you can all see the presentation now. If not, just let me know. So a warm welcome from my side as well. Thank you so much for introducing me, Boglarka. Thanks, Mariana, for setting it up. Everything for everyone else. Good morning, good evening. Happy lunchtime, wherever you sit. I'm based in Berlin, and I'm a self-employed, as Boglarka said, coach. So yeah, for everyone here in Berlin, a special welcome as well. So yeah, today we're having the big privilege of talking about psychological safety in teams. And I would say we jump directly into it. I do have also over the course of the webinar some questions for you, but let's go to the topic just like that. I brought you a little agenda today. So first of all, I want to focus on what is psychological safety, as Boglarka just said. I'll give you the definition by Amy Edmondson and some key elements. And then I want also to talk with you about the significance and advantages of psychological safety in teams. What does it mean when you do have psychological safety in a team? And why is this so important for being a high-performance team? And then, of course, some actionable strategies for yourself, which you can take away today and write down and keep in mind, hopefully, for increasing the psychological safety wherever you are working at. Exactly. So let's just start with a little intro. For this, I brought you a little case study, not case study, but a little case, a framework. Please imagine yourself now. You are at a team workshop with 35 people, and your leader or the leader above that presents your annual targets. What you have to do, what are your exercises this year? So there are no questions, the room is full, but nobody's raising questions, nobody has clarification needs, nothing. But shortly after the presentation, there's a small break and everyone is whispering about the presentation, about what was presented, and saying the targets are far from achievable, that it's just not realistic to achieve them this year. So a question for you, what happened here? You can feel free to answer in the chat, in the comments, wherever you want to. Maybe it's just a little reflection for now to start with the topic. And I can also give you a little hint. So this situation I have been at in 2022, in the beginning of the year. So I had no clue what was going on back then. I had no clue why nobody raised a question or something. Yeah, but I will spoiler a bit now. The psychological safety was missing here. That's why nobody dared to raise a question or get some clarifications or anything during the presentation. Rather, they were whispering with the colleagues and each other about the presentation in the end. I found out only later that this was psychological safety, what was lacking here. But for you, I'll give you a quick process to get to know psychological safety. So whenever you are in such a situation, you can directly drive the conclusion, okay, maybe we should have a look at the psychological safety level in our team. So what is psychological safety even? The definition by Amy Edmondson, you can see here. It's the shared belief that the work environment is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. So this is really the official definition of psychological safety in teams. There is a little background story to this. Amy Edmondson was the one who was working on psychological safety in teams for the first time. But psychological safety was already a common thing in the organizational psychology back then in the 20s. But in teams, she really saved the definition of psychological safety in teams. For Amy Edmondson herself, it was an accidental discovery within her PhD. She was doing some research on mistakes, errors in medical teams, and she found out in her dissertation that once a team is more successful, like better teams are doing more, not less mistakes, which is, when you hear it the first time, a little bit weird, a little bit off, because you would expect that better teams are better in what they do and they do less mistakes. But what she derived from it was that the teams report more mistakes. It's not like less better teams do less mistakes. They are just not openly talking about it. So what's really important here was people feel safe and feel able to talk about mistakes, to open up, to be transparent, and then you're able to learn from it. So like this, she came up with the definition of psychological safety in teams. And a next step in the research about psychological safety in teams was a very famous Google study back in the early 2010s. It was a research with over 180 teams where they were researching on the success in teams, like what does a successful team do instead of a not so successful team. And they were finding out that it's not really about the people in the team and their knowledge and stuff like this, but it's more about these 5 key factors, which are very important for successful teams. And the most important there is psychological safety. This is the key predictor of having a successful team. And this study and revelation brought the topic into a broader perspective and into the mainstream, I would say, of organizational development. Today, it's also very important to say there is still a lot of research lacking in, at least in Europe. For example, most of the research regarding psychological safety comes from the States. So it's still an ongoing research topic, but it should be, of course, more like, yeah. And just to be clear, what psychological safety is not in teams. It's not just about being nice to each other, and it's not a personality factor as such. It's not just another word for trust. We will come there later as well. And it's not about lowering performance standards. So it's still having high performance standards and doing the job, and not about just chit-chatting over your each and everyone's feelings the whole day and drinking coffee and having a nice day. It's really about concrete results. But I'm coming there. So now what I wanted to give you to have a broad perspective of the background and the research regarding psychological safety is this here, because Timothy Clark came up with 4 levels of psychological safety. And this is also very, very good to know, because you can see on which level is each team when it comes to these 4 levels of psychological safety. So what he found out is that psychological safety follows a progression based on the natural sequence of human needs. So first of all, it's really important also in teamwork to feel included, to feel the inclusion safety. This means that you feel able to fully participate with your knowledge, with your work, with everything you are. Second, it's the learner safety. It's that you feel able to learn from your failures, or even from the failures of your coworkers, that you talk about it, and that by talking about it and analyzing how this happened, you can improve processes and you can learn from it. Then it comes contributor safety, which is already that everybody can contribute with his or her potential, strength, everything he or she brings to the table. And the highest level of psychological safety is the challenger safety. It's even being able to raise critical questions and to challenge like this, the actual status quo of processes, of products, of everything you are doing. Exactly. So I think this is important to know as a background, but I would say now it's enough of theory for today already. Let's dive into why psychological safety is so important for high performance teams. So I give you a little overview of advantages and significance of psychological safety of the topic. So it's really connected to increase productivity, for example, because you feel safe and you feel able to speak up and you feel able to, for example, raise questions in the beginning of a project. For example, you can increase your productivity. You can raise the critical questions just in the beginning of the project, so you save actually time than doing it another way around, just first handing in a draft, which is not so concrete, and then doing the work all over again. I think we've all been there. So, and also it is advantages of psychological safety are definitely connected with it. It's a reduced turnover, It's problem solving, because just if you talk about something and you openly communicate topics, then you can solve the problems. And it's a greater innovation. Why is there greater innovation in organizations when the psychological safety level is higher? It's because you are able to challenge what the existing processes are. If you always do the same things, you will never change, have a new project in the end, have a new product in the end. Of course, at one point, someone has to critically look at it and be like, why do we do it like this? Why don't we do it another way around? Or implement a software for it, or whatsoever. So it is combined with greater innovation. And on the other hand, as well, and there you see how big the topic is. It is connected with employee well-being, again, with innovation and creativity of the people themselves. It's connected with collaboration and teamwork, of course. If you help yourself, if you raise questions, if you openly communicate with each other. And like this, sorry for the spelling mistake, it's also connected for the performance and result. So everything, basically, what means good teamwork is based on the level of psychological safety. This, I think, is really important to know. And I also brought you some examples of psychological safety. So what are positive examples? Maybe you can also write them in the chat if you can think of some in some organizations. I do have some very famous ones for you. For example, Pixar, they implemented this thing called radical candor, where you really give open feedback. And only like this, people feel able to really come up with innovative ideas, new movies, and stuff like this, because everybody is able to bring it in. And Google X as well. This is a very famous example. And this is maybe also a very, very extreme example, because employees there even get rewarded to fail. They get rewarded for their failure, because they say it's so important to fail and to be in an environment where you are able to fail first until you find the solution for a new problem, for example. And like this, new innovations are built. And also, I brought you a negative example. It's always funny to talk about it, because I've been working there for nearly 10 years. But of course, the negative example would be Volkswagen, with its culture of hiding mistakes, hiding things where the engineers are not able to do something. And you all know where this ended, with a diesel scandal in the end. I think this was a topic worldwide. So now, in the next part, I do have some questions for you. So for this, please imagine your current team, whether you are an employee, whether you are already a leader. It doesn't really matter. Please imagine, for the next questions, your colleagues on the same level as you are. And just let us know in the chat what's your answer to this. These questions are extractions from the Psych Safety Check, also by Amy Edmondson. There's a short version and a longer version where you can really check on which level you are with your team on the psychological safety level. So the first question is, members of this team are able to bring up problems and tough issues. And if you completely disagree and you say, no, this is not possible for me, then you are at the scale of 1 or higher whenever it is possible for you. And the scale of 5 means you completely agree and you say, okay, I'm able to bring up every issue, every problem in here. So unfortunately, I can't see the chat right now. Mariana and Burglaker, do you see the chat? And can you say a little bit about the numbers?
Yes. So we have few responses. Some of them have responded 5, 4,
Nice.
3, 1, 3, 3, 4.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah.
So overall, a very high percentage, which is nice to hear, that you agree on bringing up, that you are able to bring up problems. This would mean, just on this question, that you would have maybe a high psychological safety in your team, and this is really good to hear. But also we had a 1 and a 3. So maybe there we can look deeper into. And of course, if you have questions later on, just always feel free to contact me as well. So I do have another question for you to conclude the picture on psychological safety in your team. Second question is, no one in this team would deliberately act in a way that undermines my effort. Do you agree with that in your current team? Or do you disagree with that in your current team? Again, you can write your numbers in the chat.
We have 5, 5, 4, 2, 5, 5, 4.
Okay, so overall, again, a very, very good picture. Just also the 2. So yeah, that it means that you don't really feel, this person really doesn't feel so safe in the team because he or she is scared of that someone is undermining his or her effort, which is really sad. And this is really one of the key indicators to indicate that the psychological safety is maybe not so high in this team. And I still have a question more, one more. So very short one. It is safe to take a risk on this team. Do you disagree with that or agree?
We have many who have answered 3
Mm-hmm.
and then 5, 3 again, 4,
Okay, thank you, Mariana. So again, it's a mixed, it's a mixed picture. So whenever you're interested in doing this, for example, with your whole team or asking your whole team to really measure the level of psychological safety, you can find it over Psych Safety Check. It's the PSC by Amy Edmondson. There's a short version and a longer version of 7 items. It's still very short, I think, for a questionnaire. And yeah, then you can maybe have it as a basis for your next team workshop and then talk about the topics. Just as an idea. This is what I would do with teams and organizations. So to talk a little bit more about psychological safety as such, what are the foundational principles? And this is also something where it comes from, that a lot of people mix it up, psychological safety with trust. But when you look into the research and the logic of psychological safety, trust is more a foundational principle, which needs to be there, that psychological safety is even possible. What is also a foundational principle is vulnerability, that you are opening up yourself about your struggles, about your questions, and so on, that this is possible to build up psychological safety. And of course, also open communication. I think communication is always a topic in teams, always a topic in relationship, in everything. And also what is another foundational principle is empathy. Empathy is so much underrated in organizational work and in leadership and everything. So this is also a very, very important thing when it comes to building up psychological safety. And of course, I can never stress this point enough, respect each other. Not just the leader, not just every human being. Be respectful with each other, respect each other's works, each other's borders, each other's limits. Yeah, just be human to each other. And I want to add, which I don't have written here, a very, very important role, also a pivotal role in the building up psychological safety in teams, also plays, of course, the leader in the team, because he or she has a specific role to build up in the beginning a framework where psychological safety is even possible or not. And a leader really plays a key role in building up psychological safety. It's really quick that psychological safety is broken or not so high anymore. Once a leader, for example, said a stupid thing about someone acting, or for example, if someone raises a question in the team meeting and the leader says, "What a dumb question," what would you imagine? Are the people able to raise questions later on again, or rather not? So every leader here in this round, please be aware that you play a key role in building up psychological safety. You can work on it, but you can also easily destroy it with your communication, with your behavior, with everything. So for the next part, I brought you some action steps, what you can really do to increase the psychological safety in your team. So it sounds very easy, but please be aware that this is long-term behavior, and you should really watch your behavior over some time frame and reflect on it, how you do that, and then adapt it. And also behavior change does not happen from 1 hour to the other. It takes time, and this is fine. But we can all reflect on our behavior and adapt it over time. So action steps regarding psychological safety in your team could be: encourage open communication, so that you really ask others for their opinion, for their questions, bring them into the team discussion, and so on. That you lead by example, not just as a leader of the team, but also as a member of the team. You are really big part of the team. Whatever you are as a leader or a member, you play a role in the team, and this brings something for the team dynamics. And this is important how you act. And what you could do in your team to increase psychological safety more is also establish trust-building rituals. This could be a team workshop every other month. This could be a team meeting every week. This could be meetings in the morning where you just talk about what's happening over the day, or meetings on Friday, for example, where you celebrate your successes and you really look what you've done and achieved during the week, stuff like this. And also what you could do is working on your on constructive feedback, like really accepting the feedback rules, talking about yourself, talking about specific situations, not saying you did something wrong, but being constructive with giving solutions and stuff like this. And of course, creating safe spaces for dialogues, asking your team members when you feel like something is off, hey, do you want to talk about it? or create rituals where you have one-on-ones with the leader, with the members of the team, with your colleagues in the project. It doesn't matter. Celebrate diversity and inclusion, because this is also a big part in increasing psychological safety, definitely. When you have issues or problems, address them directly. Be an example for others. Speak up and address them to the leader, to the whole team, whatever feels good for you right now. But address them promptly so that others see what's happening, what can happen when you do so. Of course, another thing could be consider team coaching. If now some of you answered very low, very disagree on the scale, on the questions, it could be a thing for team coaching, team workshop, whatsoever, to really focus on psychological safety with someone who is an expert in this field and who can give you some measurements, some methods which you can do in your team to increase the psychological safety again. And of course, over the time, monitor and measure the progress. There is this psychological safety check. You can easily do that as an annual measurement, quarterly, even more often, whatever suits you and your team, to really see if the level of psychological safety is going up and is increasing, or where it is right now. This would be a good start as well. So, question for you: what can you think of more steps which you can do to increase psychological safety? Now that you know the concept and then you know the backgrounds, what are other ideas you could just do maybe today or even tomorrow to increase it a little bit? You can just tap it again to the chat if you want to, or just write it down for yourself if this feels better for you.
We have an answer from Samuel. Reward top performing team members.
Yes, definitely this is a good idea. This is very helpful. Is there more?
The same person, to celebrate team victories.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. One former boss of me always said the quote, "Drink your own champagne," which was so cool. And since then, it stuck to my head. Drink your own champagne. Once you reach successes as team, please celebrate this, because it is a great achievement. And not always just say, oh, this is not working and that's not working. Really see like, hey, what did you do? For example, Friday afternoon or something. Yes.
We have another answer from Anissa. Create safe spaces for dialogues.
Definitely, definitely. This is so important to have some safe spaces. For example, if someone is not feeling well right now, to open up in front of the whole team or the leader, maybe he or she would open up in a one-on-one situation with a colleague. And sometimes we all know the situation. We like some colleagues more than others. Maybe it's easier to open up with a specific person than others.
Then we have from Karen, appreciate the team performance by acknowledging their performance.
Definitely. Appreciation is such a big topic as well.
Then from Marco, choose your words carefully before speaking to your teammates. Remember the power of words.
Definitely. Communication, so much important.
From Katerina, install regular team meetings for business topics and maybe also for leisure meetings.
Yes, this is also a very good idea. You have to have regular meetings where you can come together, communicate, especially nowadays in digital times where some of us are working remotely. Yes, very important.
And lastly, from Cornelia, choose every month the favorite mistake or failure from which we learn the most.
This is a very, very nice idea. I like that a lot. That openly, it means you're openly talking about mistakes, and you even do a little challenge out of it to have something to work on. This is cool. Nice. Please adapt that. Okay. And on the next slide, I think you will also get the presentation, right? Delivered for it somehow, or you can see the live chat again, live version again. So this is something you can take with you, and that's why I put it in here like this. It's 7 questions to assess your personal impact on your team's psychological safety, even as a team member. You don't have to be a leader for this. For example, in the topic of presence, when you enter a room, does your influence warm or chill the air? You can always ask yourself the question as a little reflection, maybe, and see like whether you do something for the influence in the room or you don't. And once you reflect on this, of course, look at your behavior, how it's changing, and so on. Or, for example, for the feedback, does your influence increase or restrict the flow of feedback? So whenever you come to a room or a meeting or meet someone else, do they give you feedback? Do they hand in openly feedback, or maybe they don't? And then look into it. Why do they not share some feedback with you? Exactly. You can take this with you for a little reflection exercise, I would say, in the end. And we are coming already to the end, to some conclusions and takeaways. So what should you remember when you talk about the webinar later on during the day or tomorrow? So in today's volatile environment, psychological safety really stands out as critical predictor for successes in teams. Then the leadership team holds a significant responsibility in bolstering psychological safety. So maybe we do have some leaders, some team leads in here. Please feel free to contact me and then we can discuss this more. And additionally, every individual plays a role in building up psychological safety. It's really important that you look at your behavior, how you're opening up with people, how you also be an example for others, maybe. And like this, I'll leave you to the HI People Ops. Thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to contact me whenever you want to. There you see my contact details. And yeah, have a nice afternoon, evening, or morning.
Thank you, Claudia, for the nice presentation. And I really like that you explained that psychological safety doesn't equal to trust, but trust is really important because it is a foundational principle. And psychological safety is not about lowering performance, but quite the opposite. And also I liked at the end that we can check ourselves how we enter a room, what our impacts are after we communicate on the people, if we restrict people to communicate or we encourage them. And I also would like to thank for the participants that you contributed to this event in the chats with your ratings and with your answers. And I encourage everyone to join Claudia's meetings and the HR People Ops Germany events or global events. Or even if you are not from Germany, you can find most probably in your country or near your country similar events. So thank you again, Claudia. It was very nice from you, and you were smiling a lot. I think it was really encouraging from your side that we participated in this meeting and we made these exercises.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Claudia. It was a wonderful session. I would
Thank
like to take I would like to take a moment to thank Claudia for this thoughtful presentation and knowledge sharing session. And I'm sure everyone in the audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much. And thank you to Boglarka as well for securing such a wonderful speaker. We have a few audience responses from the case study. Do you want me to read it out? The case study question in the beginning? Okay. They responded, it is not a high performing team if they are afraid to speak up. Then there is that whisper because people are not involved in making of that budget and no submissions were requested from them. Then there is a high chance that they were afraid to ask or wanted the meeting to get done. And the team leader has not fully established team engagements in every progress made till the presentation, hence no confidence in the team.
Oh, very important point. Thank you.
You will all receive a feedback form link in the chat box. Would request you all to share your feedback. It's very valuable to us. So what do we have next? We have an upcoming coaching communities of practices session scheduled on March 13th. Join speaker Sonam to delve into Maslow's hierarchy of needs to guide you in prioritizing your self-care, identifying your aspirations, and balancing the various spheres of your life. I guarantee you that joining this session will be a great learning experience for you all. To register for this event, kindly scan the QR code below or join using the link shared in the chat box. Join our LinkedIn groups to get further updates on upcoming events. To join our APO Global Community Group and Germany Community Group, kindly scan the QR code below or join using the link shared in the chat box. Additionally, join our community platform to collaborate and engage with other passionate individuals. Join using the link shared in the chat box. So thank you all once again for joining us today. We appreciate your time and participation, and we hope that you found today's session very informative and engaging. I know I did. Stay tuned for more. We will be coming up with many more sessions for you to learn and grow with us. And this recording of the session will be shared to all the participants who have attended, and we will upload the session on our Agile People Ops YouTube channel. Thank you all. With lots of gratitude, I'm Mariana, your host, will be signing off for today.